actually knew that it wasn't the planes that brought it down because of your engineering background. Is that what you told me?
Oh yeah.
Many times.
Yeah. Basically, you don't, as an engineer, you don't know exactly why something fails, until you do the analysis, until you do the engineering analysis. You make an estimate of what you think has happened. So basically, what we were looking at 9/11 is, wow, how did that happen? You got a symmetrical collapse that's coming way down, and for months, I'm spending 2-3 hours at the library just looking for some information. And this wasn't the first time I've done that, where I would just try to find information and it simply isn't there. I can remember being at the university and hearing about the Teton Dam collapse.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
I couldn't find anything on that. Went to the library, couldn't find anything. Nobody knows why it happened. It just.
And where was that? You told me that.
That was out in the Midwest, but for some reason it was just an enormous waste of government money. So it seemed like.
And it wiped out a town.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. But it was sort of like.
I've heard some of the same type of info, terrifying info about the Johnstown flood. Whenever that happened, there was Rockefellers involved, basically.
Wow.
They were camping around that damn area.
Oh.
That's story that, I got this from several different outlets, from people, from word of mouth, and Rockefeller family was, or extension at least of it. They're in every system that society has. They're in every little faction, whether it be engineering, fast food, everything in between. They were camping around the dam.
It doesn't surprise me because when I did my research on the Titanic, because this is the 100-year anniversary of the Titanic sinking, I was just blown away by the fact that J.P. Morgan had 2 ships and they switched them because they couldn't get the insurance money for the Titanic. It wasn't the Titanic, it was the sister ship, which I can't remember the name of it. When you hit a naval vessel, that's what happened. It collided with a English Navy. The insurance company wouldn't cover it because they hit a Navy vessel. Now, if they would have had any other boat, they would have got the insurance to fix the boat. So when the Titanic was being put together, they switched the ships. Wow. and I can't remember how many bankers were on the Titanic when it went down, but most of the bankers on the Titanic that went down with the ship were the ones against the Federal Reserve. They didn't want the Federal Reserve.
How could you be a banker and not want to co-opt the largest economy on Earth?
They were actually good bankers back at that time, but after that, there's never been any good bankers.
That wanted to do good business.
Yeah. Right. That's impossible.
Now it's the pirate bankers.
But I'd like to touch upon what you said on the Johnstown flood. There was a resort area, okay, up above, I don't know, I guess it was the Conemaugh River that had all the water. But anyway, there was this resort area, and all these rich people from Pittsburgh would come to this resort area. And there was the dam right at the resort area where the people could go fishing and whatever they wanted to do. And it was a very popular resort area. But it was really a club before it was a resort area. And what the club did is they built the dam really well and everything, and they had like a overflow, and it was like done really well. But when the rich people that bought it out, to make a resort area for the rich people to come, they sort of like everything fell apart because they just didn't do the maintenance and everything on it. And so they were warned that the dam was going to break, if they didn't maintain it, and none of these rich people wanted to maintain the dam. They just wanted to go there to their club fishing place every so often when, you know, when they could get away from Pittsburgh or whatever. So, at the time of the Johnstown flood, the dam was beyond, you know.
In total disrepair.
Yeah, it was in total disrepair.
So they could have fixed it, but they didn't.
Right, the rich people that owned the club could have better maintained the dam. It may have held.
And that's where you heard the Rockefeller story, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. That was like the key that I was missing. Basically, it was an elitist camping grounds before that, a little tiny elitist resort. That's wild, though. It was in total disrepair because the elitists had totally bought it out, and of course they didn't want to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get their suits dirty.
Or like, you pay for it. I don't know. You pay for it. You know, it's that sort of thing. Nobody wanted to.
That kind of people, they don't
sort of
want
like
to put
they're
out a
greedy with the
dime.
little money, with that little dime, and they have like billions, probably millions, maybe not billions back then, because millions is, you know, was what the rich people were, and today they're billionaires because the money is so inflated.
So back to 9/11.
Yeah, after looking at all the dam theories and going back to your previous research into the Teton Dam, how did that prepare you to take on that research, and then from that research, what all those months of research in that library on free fall collapse, symmetrical collapse of 107 stories, 109 stories, what did you come to a conclusion of?
Well, I kept looking. I didn't I didn't give up looking. It's like with the Teton Dam, you could go to a library and it's easy to give up, because if there's nothing in that library, there's nothing in that library. But how do you exhaust the internet? So when I go to the library and I'm looking something up on the internet, I can go everywhere. There's no limit. So so I could go there day after day, spend an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours until they kick me off the computer, and whatever. And but I eventually came across Alex Jones's.
The thermite.
I came across Alex Jones's InfoWars website, and he's the one that recorded Silverstein saying to pull Building 7.
Yeah. I was just talking to a lot of people today about how there's so many people in this country, they don't even know about Building 7 yet.
11 years after.
Yeah, 11 years. And that's all because of talk radio.
Yeah.
Keeping American patriots divided and stupid for 11 years. That's my new saying. I'll never stop. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that.
So it went from wow, that there would be some strange engineering things to happen for this to have a symmetrical collapse when a plane would crash in and you'd expect it to topple.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
would expect it to topple. So
actually, if you look at some of those pictures, like from Dr. Judy Wood's website, you can see the top part where the plane smashed into that top part. From that up, it Dustify went. I told you about that. That picture just totally awed me. Where
the one I had on
it offset from the base of it, where the actual structure came up, offset and went over to the side, completely off the foundation of the original symmetrical tower, and then obviously it was Dustified because where did it go?
So but when you read Judy Wood, right?
Eventually, I got the information from you about Judy Wood.
I kept saying, you got to listen to this.
And the information that she focused in on two things. One, there was a hurricane offshore that day.
Right.
Yes, and no one ever, still to this day, talks about that.
The other thing she focused in on was what was the seismographic data.
Exactly.
So with the seismographic data, you had a building falling, a 17-story building falling, So you had all these, thousands of tons of material that are just unaccounted for. The seismographic data doesn't say that was ever there. So what happened to it? It's you can you can just speculate if you start there,
Right.
of what happened to it. But she gives her theory, and probably it's probably the best theory
The best
out there.
thing.
She's done the best research that I know of.
And like you, she was just like you.
Well, she was like very
She
very
was
much
like-
higher. She had a doctorate
Right.
in her field. I have an undergraduate degree.
Right.
You know, and
and
I
she,
had the
her mother.
curiosity.
I remember I listened to her interviews lots of times, and she said her mother even told her, "You're risking your career."
Oh yeah.
But Judy Wood said, "If I don't talk about this, I'm risking everybody's career." And look where we're at now, because since 9/11, this country is almost a third world country now. We're almost a third world country, and that's the strategy behind it.
As far as the police state, the hyperinflation, and all of that combined together for a perfect martial law civil war scenario, so that they can crush us militarily, because they know they can't crush our soul. They can't
Right.
stop us from buying guns.
No.
Gun sales doubled since the Aurora shooting.
Oh,
In 1
and
week.
now since this shooting, I'm sure they've tripled. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But back to Judy Wood, and I was talking about how you like her, you both having engineering minds knew that was impossible for the buildings to fall just by two planes hitting them. You know what I mean? So like you were saying about Building 7, that's when you basically started to think, hey, what's going on? 'Cause
Yeah, basically, when you see that symmetrical collapse, the question in your mind is, if there's nobody out there that questions it, and you're looking at that, and as an engineer, you're saying, what type of anomaly caused this? I mean, the curiosity says, what type of anomaly caused this to crumble, just to implode, like an implosion, like a planned implosion? What causes that? Just because two planes crashed into
Right,
that.
and Building 7 had a few fires on the top. That's
Right,
it.
right. So, I mean, did I know anything about Building 7? Maybe I did and I forgot it, But when I got to that point, on the internet after hours and hours and hours of search, where Alex Jones replayed that interview with Silverstein, and Silverstein's there saying that there's so much death and everything, we just decided to pull it. And he's talking about Building 7.
Right.
So they evacuated everybody, made sure everybody got evacuated. Nobody died in Building 7.
Right.
And
Two men were trapped, is what I heard. That Jennings, that large black man, was trapped with someone else in the elevator.
The one guy that could
And-
have testified against.
And he did. I mean, he put in his testimony, but where's it at? Everyone's ignoring these testimonies, and that's why it's just important to do things like this and put it up on YouTube. So there's so many testimonies out there. It's just overwhelming at some point. Whenever people check into it, they're going to see the overwhelming amount of people that are giving evidence, giving testimony to it.
Here's one thing I had to bring up that I was thinking about. I like how Judy Wood, she doesn't say inside job. Because obviously she knows basically who the suspects are, and so she basically says, I don't want people to think that I'm saying the government did this. I'm just
Right.
saying the people who did this, they basically have a weapon that could be used for good.
Right.
And if we use the angle at, hey, these people in power have something that we could actually use to benefit our civilization.
Exactly.
Because that's what Tesla basically didn't want his inventions being used as destructive. He wanted them to help society. So I like how Judy Wood basically puts it. She doesn't blame the United States government, but she basically says, leaves it out there,
Right.
which is great.
But meanwhile, the government releases the recipe for the bird flu. So we know that they're capable of releasing all these high-tech, high-powered weapons of death to the mass public to just produce for ourselves.
And that's what my friend Matt says, which he's basically got the completion of Judy Wood's theory. He's done about 13 months of research since Judy Wood's theory has come out. He could not stop researching it because she says over and over again, you just listen. And, well, he's a piano tuner, and he's going blind, too. So, you know, one sense fails, the rest grows stronger. And he just spent like 12, 13 months just listening. And he's really found, I think, the key, the capstone to her whole theory. And I think it's going to blow 9/11 out of the water whenever he finally gets it out. He's got a book publisher that's contacting him, but that's all he's got so far. But I'm trying calling InfoWars to try to get him
We want to do an interview
on
with
there.
this thing.
But I think he needs to go worldwide immediately.
Yeah.
Like whenever we put
As soon
on,
as we get it.
right, we're going to have the first interview.
Yeah.
Well, whenever Alex Jones puts it out worldwide, we're going to be like, hey, well, we already had an interview with this guy. You know, like, might as well just take that one. It's the freshest one. It's when it was fresh in his mind. But yeah, he says that about it. Like basically, you know, this is a high tech weapon, like Judy Wood said, that could be used for a lot of good, but they're not going to use it for good. Let's find out what it is, why they won't use it. You know, why they will only use it for destruction and not to help anyone.
Remember how we were talking about the HARP weapon and how they had to triangulate from the X-37B to the HARP shooting up, down, but we were trying to figure out, and the biggest suspect of the whole triangulation of, like, shooting some kind of, like Josh was just saying, some kind of sound, basically. Basically, this guy who has a fine-tuning ear actually picked up some kind of frequency that none of us. The guy's blessed to have like dog hearing. You know what I mean?
Well, he's tuned pianos for Jimmy Swaggart, for
Billy
Billy Joel, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Neil Young. So you name it, pretty much. He's tuned their pianos.
But what I'm getting
but
at,
he also says, you know, I don't know if it's the U.S. government, but such a high-tech, high-powered weapon and such a sophisticated system of weaponry, you know, what else can it be, really, the military-industrial complex? I mean, that's the only engine that could drive engineering, developing qualities like that.
what I'm getting at is the Mossad suspect in the white van, jumping up and down when the towers are collapsing. That's the key.
With walkie-talkies in their
right,
hands.
and they're like jumping up and down. So I believe it was in the van, whatever kind of equipment. I don't know. That's my, you know, I'm trying to be Sherlock Holmes solving word.
I don't want to give away any more of what
Right.
Matt's told
Yeah, I'm
me.
sorry.
I know. No, I mean, you're fine with all that, but if I go any further, even just right here, because I want to put this on YouTube, Matt's going to kill me.
Okay. Sorry, Matt.
No,
We're
it's cool.
trying to solve the case.
It's cool. I think I've already said too much
What do you
myself.
think, Tom?
Well, I got to go back. Well, after seeing the evidence that Judy Wood brought forth and really honed in on and looked at in detail, it sort of brings me back, way back when in high school, when a friend of mine, a good friend of mine in high school, would come in to school with all these UFO magazines. You know, so you have something that you didn't know. You had no way of knowing what that is. And if you're a military person, if you're military personnel or Air Force, and you're ordered to go ahead and intercept this UFO, and the UFO all of a sudden just makes a right angle turn and goes like 5 times as fast as your aircraft can go, and your aircraft can't make nearly that turn. It can bank, but it can't nearly make anything near that. So you're dealing with some kind, if it actually exists, you're dealing with something that's way beyond any technology or any theory that you know of. You know, it's way beyond what you know exists. So when you have this Area 51 crash, you know, and
Kecksburg even. I mean.
and then you have a crash in Kecksburg, but from these UFO enthusiasts that I've read about over the years, well, when they looked into the craft, they pulled all these wires out and they were glass. They were glass wires, and how does this thing work?
Now
So,
we have
and then
fiber optic
right.
technology since because of that.
So you got, I don't know what company it is, or maybe it was a group of companies got together thousands of engineers to figure out fiber optics, and they finally got it. So like when I was like in right out of high school, and my sister went overseas she was taking a master's degree in French and master's degree in German, and she was in France and in Germany, and we're on the phone talking to her in Germany or in France or somewhere, and you're hearing the echo, you know, because there were long lines of
right, it was before satellites.
It was before fiber optics.
Right.
No,
No glass wires
that's
there.
right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You know, because you have these long lines of copper wire, and you have these repeaters. So
wow, that would have been something to remember.
You don't have nearly the quality,
Yeah.
not even close
Oh, now
to
it's,
what you can get fiber optic
Right.
cable under the sea. All the way, you know,
Right.
it's clear as if you were talking almost like we're talking here.
we have to remember what, I don't know if you ever heard William Cooper. Have you ever heard of William Cooper? He was a guy who was basically Alex Jones during the 80s and late 70s, basically.
Yeah, Alex is like a continuation of Cooper's work.
Right. And he predicted, like Alex, he said there was going to be another 9/11 that year. He knew it was going to happen. But he always would say, you got to always remember because he studied these people. You got to remember, he did his research before the internet. So hard copy. Basically, he did a lot of research. The guy was amazing. I always like to go back and listen to him. But he always said, remember, these people are at least 150 years ahead of us in their technology. So the stuff we're getting on our cell phones now, man, they're like into some 150 years down the road technology. It's a wonder we don't catch like the elite's puppets like Hillary Clinton or any of them playing around with their new gadgets. You know, I'm surprised our info war. That's what you info warriors should be doing, trying to catch these people with some high tech stuff.
Maybe we can't. I mean, maybe they are traveling at the speed of light.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, we're definitely 9/11 is the truth that we cannot let escape, because I've always called it the hammer of truth. And the sad thing of it is, because of all the propaganda and lies and disinformation here in America, the American people are the last ones on the planet that know that 9/11 was an inside job. It's really sad that like I said, talk radio keeping American patriots stupid
Right.
and divided for 11 years.
That's what Joan Vion, that hugely incorporated journalist, worldwide journalist, said before she died in 2010. She said, the people of the world are waiting for the American people to wake up, because if we don't get it of what's happening in a global totalitarian police state that's synonymous in all countries with turtle suits and jack boots and black uniforms with wooden billy clubs and stormtrooper helmets and face shields, the same exact costumes on every police officer in every country. Come on. And it's like, if we don't wake up to this, then the whole world is going to lose.
That's why I've been trying.
We're the last bastion, really, of the Second Amendment.
Right, the last castle of freedom is here, and we don't even realize. Well, we realize it, but the rest of we have to wake our fellow patriots up to. And the beginning is they have to stop. They have to, like I say, keep saying, when you have your head in the sand, the world still revolves around your ass. They have to pull. We have to yank them out of the sand and shake them.
Right.
Say, listen, man, your kids' freedom is now. If you do not stand and make a fight here, because like I said, the rest of the world is waiting for them.
It's like David Icke says too about the head in sand. His website says, for your head to be on the sand, you have to be constantly on your knees.
That's why I started wearing my football helmet to protest, to actually try to give people the idea, hey, wait, these cops are wearing stuff, we gotta dress like them. and that's why I wear my football helmet to protest and stuff. I will always, if I go. Like I told him, the wise thing now, since they got it so, there's provocateurs at every. They're waiting for guys like me and Josh and you to come down. They know who we are, and they're going to try to start stuff with us. So the strategic thing to do is when they're protesting over here at Chuck E. Cheese, we got to go over to McDonald's. You know what I mean? You never go where they want you to go because it's a trap. We got to think like Robin Hood, you know.
Well, I saw you with the football helmet for the first time. I thought you were a little kid or something going on the buses down in D.C. I was like, who's this dumb teenager who's going to wear a football helmet? This dumb chubby teenager, he's going to walk on this bus and go down to D.C. with a football helmet on. Every cop's going to be around him, but you're right. Like just like what you're saying, we've got to be sort of just wise about our undertakings and what we protest. Webster Tarpley just said that yesterday on Alex Jones' show. Like, you know, we can't be protesting every single event all across the world. We got to pick and choose because that's just playing right into the system's hands.
Right.
What they want us to do.
They want us to be where they. You know what really made me think about it is how all the Tea Party, they took us to protest down there, the Supreme Court, but they put us in a pen. The Supreme Court was here, and I said, this doesn't make any sense. But
I was here.
Yeah,
I was right there.
I went with the sheep, but I was cool because I had my football helmet.
Football helmet.
I was basically, I was giving people the idea, hey, you know, we got to dress like these cops at these protests. I mean, it makes sense to wear shoulder pads, knee pads. I mean, you know, we don't have any guns. We're dressing like them. It's common sense, just like our founding fathers. You know?
They got stormtrooper helmets. We'll wear helmets.
We got to wear football helmets.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but Don, if you want to give like a closing argument, a concluding synopsis of what your statement would be about the official narrative versus all the research that you've done in comparison, and what the world should do really as a research in comparison. The official narrative, which makes no sense, doesn't even incorporate Building 7 into the 9/11 Commissioner's report. What was it, like 6 out of the 10 commissioners said it was total fraud, something like that. So, where should we be mentally, psychologically, spiritually on this 9/11 issue? Because this really is, like we're discussing the last 5-10 minutes here, the seminal issue that's started, that was the spark that caused the global police state to ensue in full color fashion.
Okay, we'll start with the speculation, the pervasive speculation that's out there that the 19 Islamic hijackers were the ones that caused 9/11 to happen.
Majority from Saudi Arabia, but there are still our allies. We didn't invade them.
Right. So, as I was doing the research on it, I noticed, and it may have been from Alex Jones, but I noticed there was a video somewhere that showed that 3 of the hijackers were interviewed by British television after 9/11. So, I mean, the only conclusion is this is speculation that the 72 virgins were too much for them, so they came back. So at best,
had one wild ride and then return.
So at best, what you have is speculation here. Now, I would like to get to the level of theory, like where Judy Wood is.
Right.
She's at a level where she has a theory about what happened. I'd like to get to that level, but I'm still back, where the speculation of this UFO, how far advanced this technology is.
Right, how far advanced are these people who basically do control
Right.
things in this world?
So I don't know whether to speculate that, wow, we reverse engineered something, and that, like when we were developing the atomic weapons, where did we test them? In the United States. So there's more like atomic radioactivity in the United States and anywhere in the world, because we test all these weapons underground. The hydrogen bomb was tested underground in Arizona or New Mexico.
There's even military footage of us blowing up atomic weapons right in front of lines of soldiers that are just sitting there, and they're getting hit with that atomic blast. Just to experiment.
Real quick, speaking of Kecksburg, which is right near here.